Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. This memorial session of Superior Court is now in session. The Honorable Karen E.D. Williams, Judge presiding.
Good afternoon. Today, we gather together to recognize the service and the life of one of our number. This memorial service is a time when the brothers and sisters of the Mecklenburg County Bar pay homage to the life and times of one of their profession, of one who has shared this unique discipline that binds us together. Today, we recognize that life, the life of Attorney Eric A. Jonas, Sr., and his achievements as a matter of public record and for the sake of our historic and corporate memory. For those that wish to share remarks after the resolution has been presented, please send a private message to our moderator, Shelby Benson, using the chat function at the bottom of your screen. The moderator will call on those who submitted their names at the end of the service. We ask that those not presenting, please keep yourselves muted for the duration of the presentation. In keeping with tradition, I will now recognize Mecklenburg County Bar President-elect Carrie Davis to give remarks on behalf of the bar.
Thank you, Judge, and may it please the court. Good afternoon. My name is Carrie Davis, and I'm the President-elect of the Mecklenburg County Bar. Today, we welcome the family, friends, and colleagues of Eric A. Jonas, Sr., to whom we offer our sincere condolences. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Honorable Hugh Lewis, who is the Vice Chair of the Memorials Committee for the Bar.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. May it please the court. My name is Hugh Lewis, a member of the Mecklenburg County Bar Memorials Committee. And with the court's permission, I'll turn and speak to the audience at this time. On behalf of the Mecklenburg County Bar, we welcome the friends and family gathered here today. I would like to thank Mr. Davis for joining us, as well as the members of Mr. Jonas's family. For the past 7 or so decades, our bar has convened memorial sessions of court for our recently deceased members, taking the opportunity to remember and celebrate their lives. As far as we can determine, we may be the only local bar that holds such sessions. We are proud of this tradition and the role these sessions play in preserving the history of our bar. Today, Martha and Tommy Odom will present a resolution honoring Eric A. Jonas, Sr. That resolution will be presented to the court, and the filed resolution will be included in the minutes of this court and maintained with all the preceding resolutions in a bound volume in the Clerk of Court's office. The resolution will also be permanently posted on the bar website, along with preceding resolutions. The family will be provided with copies of the resolution and an audio tape of today's proceedings. Before I move forward, could I ask that one of the members of the family volunteer to introduce him or herself and the rest of the members of the family? Okay, if I have to, I will go. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm Don Jonas. My older brother, Rick Jonas, is there with our mom, Dad's wife, Darlene Jonas, and my sister, Ann Jonas, with her son, Gabriel, and my other brother, Jim Jonas, is here.
Thank you. And we were pleased to have you present. Now let me turn this proceeding over to Martha and Tommy Odom. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's really an honor and a privilege for Martha and I to gather with everyone here today people I haven't seen in many years, many years. The Jonas children who I grew up with out in Steel Creek, where I saw them out in the Steel Creek community many times. But it's a pleasure for us to be here with all of y'all to remember the life and legacy of Eric Jonas, who was a distinguished member of the Mecklenburg County Bar for 58 years, and who died peacefully after a brief illness on June 17, 2021 in Black Mountain. So I'm going to hand this off for a few minutes to Martha to start this, and then I'm going to finish the resolution up. Thank you.
Eric, the son of Donald and Annie Jonas of Lincolnton and Charlotte, was born on December 27, 1934 in Lincolnton, North Carolina, but he was a lifelong resident of Charlotte. Eric graduated from Central High School in Charlotte, where he played varsity basketball and golf. He competed in state and national golf tournaments. He won the North Carolina Junior Golf Championship in 1952 at age 17 and advanced to the fourth round of match play in the U.S. National Junior Amateur Golf Tournament. Not surprisingly, Eric made lifelong friends at Central High. He was an active member of the Central High monthly reunions group well into his 80s. He went on to attend UNC Chapel Hill, where he majored in English and graduated in 1956. He made the most of his time at Chapel Hill. He was a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity, active in the ROTC, and graduated Phi Beta Kappa. He loved his Tar Heels, and in keeping with his passion for sports, he was a lifelong Tar Heel basketball and football fan. Following graduation from UNC, Eric served 3 years as a first lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force. He was posted first in Texas, then in California, as a navigator on the 437th Fighter Interceptor Squadron. Excuse me. In 1959, Eric moved to Boston to attend Harvard Law School, and there he met his wife of 59 years, Darlene Evans Jonas, who was a graduate school at the time at Boston University. Eric liked to say that the chance meeting of Darlene at a Thanksgiving meal gathering was one of the happiest days of his life. He would also quickly add that it added to his joy that day when Carolina beat Duke 50-0 on national television. I'm going to hand it off to Tommy.
Thank you. Thank you, Martha. After Eric and Darlene married in 1962, Eric began his career as a working attorney with the Dotson Palmer law firm for several years. He then joined Mr. Weinstein and Mr. Sturgis, the Weinstein Sturgis firm, as a partner, where he practiced real property law and family estate work for over 20 years. And then it continued his in private practice in Charlotte until 2011. He was a 50-year-old member of the North Carolina Bar. During this time in the late 60s and the 70s, or when I got to spend some really quality time with the Jonas family down at Lake Wiley at my parents' lake house with other members of our firm, which was very special times. And then I got to practice with him at Weinstein and Sturgis firm, and I think he shepherded me through a couple of real estate closings until I finally realized that was not for me. And I think the statute of limitations has run on all of those, so I think we're all good there. In addition to Eric's busy legal career, Eric filled his wonderful life with sports and recreation, service to the community, and meaningful relationship. He was a lifelong member of the YMCA since his childhood and was an active member into the 80s. He made almost daily visits to the Dowd Y for nearly 50 years, and I got the opportunity to see him there many times as well. He also served on the Y board and as a board chair for the Dowd Y, in addition to coaching his kids' basketball teams. Eric continued to play golf, but later took up tennis due to the time constraints. Not surprisingly, Eric was a fantastic tennis player as well, and he played at Barkley Downs and Old Providence, and played in the 1999 Senior Games North Carolina Tennis Championships. And I got the pleasure of seeing Eric and his family in Darling at the Old Providence Racket Club as well. Eric was generous with his time and energy. He was a 40-year member of the Charlotte North Rotary Club, serving in several leadership roles, including Rotary President. He was a lifetime blood donor to the Red Cross. He had a personalized license plate to share his appreciation of the Rotary's four-way test of things to think. Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? This license plate was four-way test in behalf of these great questions from the Rotary Club. Eric lived by these tenets and values with his family, his friends, and his colleagues. He did not let the stressful legal profession dampen his amicable spirit, his excellent sense of humor, or his calm, patient demeanor. And that's one thing that I remember and also reminisce with some of the old Weinstein and Sturgis partners of his calm, patient demeanor that helped everybody in any type of stressful situation. Eric was deeply devoted to his native North Carolina throughout his life. He was a member of the Myers Park United Methodist Church in his youth, was a member of the Mouzon United Methodist when he first returned to Charlotte, and thereafter for many years as an elder at Covenant Presbyterian with his family. In the days following Eric's passing in June 2021, as the news spread, online remembrances endorsed what Eric's family, friends, colleagues, and associates always knew. He was a delightful soul with a wry sense of humor, a fine man, a person of kindness, honor, and integrity. Eric, also known as Dad, Pops, and Papa Bear, and P Bear, was deeply loved and cherished by his family. He loved being a father to his 4 children. He also enjoyed tending to his tomato plants and body surfing at Ocean Isle Beach every summer with his family. He was an enthusiastic traveler. Some of his favorite trips with his friends and family included the Masters Golf Tournament, Wimbledon, US Open Tennis, and the French Open. Eric is survived by his wife, Darlene Jonas, his children, Rick Jonas, Jim Jonas, and his wife, Karen, and their children, Marcy and Bennett, Don Jonas and his wife, Debbie, and their children, Henry, Mary, Elizabeth, and Finn, Annie Jonas and her spouse, Stacy Enos, and their son, Gabrielle, and his sister, Alice Jonas Fernandez, and her husband, Dr. Javier Fernandez, and their sons, Wyatt and Bright, and Darlene's sister, Claudette Warlick, and her children. Your Honor, it is with a deep sense of friendship, admiration, and gratitude that we undersigned respectfully move to adjourn this day in memory of Eric Andrew Jonas Sr. and stamp and file and inscribe this resolution and memorial into the minutes of this court with a copy to be kept in the memorials of deceased attorneys in the office of the Clerk of Superior Court, and copies be made available to the members of Eric Jonas's family. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. and Ms. Odom, such impactful, kind words. At this time, the court will ask that the moderator call on those who would like to share remarks in memory of Attorney Eric A. Jonas Sr.
Thank you. We would like to start with Ms. Sherry McGirt.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. I started practicing law with Eric in 1981, I think it was. And John Doyle was there at that time. And I felt that I was very fortunate to be associated with such a fine group of attorneys who were not only capable, but they were just very ethical and morally sound people. They were all decent. And Eric was the epitome of that. Not only was he very intelligent, and a great athlete, as Tommy has pointed out. But his quality that I have to share with Tommy's comments as well was his demeanor. He was so calm and so respectful, even in the most anxious of situations. And it was such a wonderful example that he set, particularly for younger people coming into the firm, and a reminder to the older people who maybe didn't have quite that demeanor every day in the trials and tribulations of practicing law. And I'm very, very grateful that I had the opportunity to work with him at that firm. And I'm very grateful for his service to the community, particularly to the Y. The YMCA started admitting women as members around that time, and he quickly called on me to join, and I did, and I've always appreciated that. And I'm very thankful that I've had that opportunity to be his colleague. And I know that we will all remember him for the many wonderful things that he has done, not only for his family and his friends, but for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. We will call upon Mr. John Doyle.
John Doyle, Your Honor, is technically challenged. Hopefully you can hear me. Before I fled to Forsyth County in 1991, I was a member of the Mecklenburg County Bar and also at Weinstein and Sturgis, and practiced there from 1970 to 1991, and had the good fortune of practicing with and getting to know Eric. And I echo what Sherry said. When I think of Eric, I think, first of all, he had a very pleasant, calming demeanor about him. No scowls, unless somebody was talking about Duke. And he was just a delightful person to work with and to get to know. You know, a lovely family to which he was devoted. I'm not a real estate lawyer, so I can't talk very intelligently about his competence in that area, although upon information and belief, I think he was quite a very competent, capable lawyer and in that area. But above everything else, he was a partner. And those, I think Tommy made reference to some challenging times and difficult times. And I remember a few partners meetings that would qualify for that. And Eric was a sea of calm. And I see Tommy smiling because he knows it's true. I mean, Eric was not only a calming influence, but he would not raise his voice. He made sense when he spoke, and he didn't act out of self-interest, which is not always the case with lawyers. Professionally, he's the lawyer, kind of lawyer you'd want to practice and call as a partner. Personally, he was just a delight, and his best, in my opinion, aside from his family and being a great father, is his other outstanding characteristic is he's a diehard Tar Heel like I am. And so if there was an educational foundation meeting to go to, I could always count on Eric to accompany me. And I will say this sincerely to Darlene, to the kids. Since COVID hit, I haven't been back to Chapel Hill, but I intend to go in September to a football game and then in December to basketball, and I intend to wear that bracelet. I better stop that.
Thank you. I believe next we have Mr. Holmes, who's ready to speak.
Sorry, sir, you're on mute. Mr. Holmes, you're on mute.
Can you, am I being, can I be heard now? Okay. Well, it's kind of hard to follow up my former law partners in talking about Eric. I would reiterate and everything they said, particularly about his demeanor. However, that calmness and that even-temperedness might cause one to think that Eric was mild-mannered. It only took about 3 or 4 minutes on the tennis court to know that he was also a stone killer. And that lesson I learned quite frequently. Unfortunately, I don't think I ever won a set off of Eric. The thing I remember about Eric most as a lawyer was that he was an old school lawyer. When I joined the firm in 1977, the technology level of practicing law had not advanced from the 1950s, except for the advent of the electric typewriter. And it had was not even a self-correcting typewriter. Our secretaries had to use carbon paper in everything they did. And in a real estate practice where clarity and detail are so important and have such an impact on the economy and on people's lives if there are mistakes in titles, Eric was absolutely fierce about being correct, being thorough, and he carried that forward into the 80s when things started to change technologically for law firms, and then into the 90s when information technology and computerization really got going. And thank God he never changed. He was a bull about that stuff and never let things that he was not familiar with deter him from being accurate. I think the thing I admire most about Eric, and I'll say this in closing, is that, and it doesn't have anything to do with his being a lawyer, but as being a man. When Lib and I joined the firm, we were young parents of very young children. And Darlene and Eric were kind of a guiding light for us. I just adored their family and how they accepted us. I mean, Annie became our babysitter forever. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to see a family like that. And Eric, of course, was the paterfamilias. And that's how I remember him best. Thank you.
If anybody else wishes to give remarks, please let me know. You can message me in the chat. Shelby Benson.
The court will recognize Mr. Benroot. Unmute yourself, sir. Please unmute yourself.
I'm not very good technologically, so I don't know how to tell you that I want to say a word. I've known Eric since I was a boy. My dad built his parents' home here in Charlotte. I went off to school and roomed with his first cousin. Of course, his uncle Charles was our congressman for many years. They're a wonderful, wonderful family, but I really got to know Eric when I came back from Vietnam and joined a little firm at that time called Fleming, Robinson, Bradshaw, which was right across the hall from Eric and his partners in our building on the 12th floor of the American building. My impression of him all of the time that I've known him is that, one, he was a very thoughtful man, a very kind man, a very committed man to both the law practice, to his family, to our community. And I think all in all, he gave lawyers a really good name. I wish we had a lot more like him in our profession or in any profession, because he did everything in his life, to my knowledge and to my observation, the right way. And so it's a real honor to be here to just say a few words to his family about how much I really loved him as a person and as a lawyer and as a friend. God rest his soul.
If I may.
Yes.
This is John Rudisell speaking. I got to know Eric late in his career when he made an occasional appearance at the Canaveral Club, held in the executive restaurant run by Nick Gallus. He came as a guest of Richard Meek, and they both were rather quiet and subdued in comparison with some of the other characters who attended that Army game to determine who would pay for the coffee, such as Joe Travis, Richard Cohen, Chuck Morgan, and Charlie Crowder and John McCrae. They were sort of like the Smothers Brothers to Joe Travis's Dave Chappelle. But it was later, just in recent years, that I realized that he had worked fairly closely with my late wife, Buffy Griffin Rudisell, at the SBA on real estate secured loans. And I renewed or began a friendship with him by occasional lunches at Azteca Restaurant and other places that he wasn't familiar with. He was the most genial and quiet, soft-spoken attorney I think that I've known, other than Richard Meek. And I really was saddened by seeing his passing, as was my wife.
Will there be anyone else? Before I do my concluding remarks, I will state that I didn't have the pleasure of spending time or meeting Mr. Jonas. I've seen him in passing throughout the years. And so I went to an online, the online obituary at Gross Funeral Home and Cremation Services, and I was reading through the multitude of comments that spoke so kindly and highly of Mr. Jonas, and they all stood out. But based on what everyone has said today, the overarching theme that I hear about Mr. Jonas is he was a gentleman. And the gentleman speaks to how you treat people and how you carry yourself. And that's the theme that it seems that he carried throughout his life. But I did want to read to you one of the comments that was left at Gross Funeral Home and Cremation Services by Bill Anderson on June 20th, 2021. It reads, "Mr. Jonas was truly a kind Southern gentleman who loved his extended family very much. I knew him as Don's dad when Don played soccer at Myers Park High School. I also saw him almost every time I went to the Doubt Y, where he was a regular and known by so many. It was with great sadness when I read his obituary in the Observer today. But Mr. Jonas left this earth with much to be proud of. His extended family are individuals who are committed to doing good and serving others. May Mr. Jonas rest in peace." The theme of him being a Southern gentleman is throughout every single comment. And when I read it, it was just very moving for me. And I agree. I wish there were more lawyers who are the Southern gentleman of the type and of Mr. Jonas. And their family has so much to be proud of with their father and their husband and their relative. It sounds like he was a true gentleman. The court will adopt the resolution that was presented by the Odoms, and the court will order that the comments presented at this hour be spread upon the minutes of the court and filed with copies presented to the family of our departed brother at the bar, Eric A. Jonas Sr. Furthermore, the court directs that the deputy adjourn this memorial session of the court in memory of and out of respect for Eric A. Jonas Sr. Fare thee well, colleague, and Godspeed.
All rise. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. This memorial session of Superior Court now stand adjourned in memory of and out of respect of Eric A. Jonas Sr.